Hello YouTubies, this is King Scribe and thank you for watching this amazing, most incredible YouTube video. Now, a quick disclaimer before I make this amazing video. You know, after watching this video, don't go out joining any cults, hate campaigns against women, don't turn into a male chauvinist pig, don't turn into an imbecile, don't turn into the male equivalent of a feminist. Because you're not going to oppress anyone, you're just going to look like an idiot. Now, I'm sure that most of these feminist cults out there are made to make it more difficult for men and women to interact with each other on equal level. In fact, because they're actually, going out trying to fight all the time, etc., it's actually making it very, very difficult for them to get the sort of rights that they want, and they're asking for some high advantages in society. They want to rule society completely. They want to mother society completely. But now I'm seeing these crazy things going on the internet. 1 in 3 women are raped, allegedly, according to sites like Everydaysexism. And also this has been on the news and the tabloids because they've been supporting this particular site where females and feminists can go on and just make up stories and say, oh, I was grubbed on the bus, or oh my god, I had this happen. Well, if all this happened to you, why didn't you go to the police? Why are you going to a Twitter account? Is that the first thing that goes into your head? Somebody attacks you on a bus and grabs you and does this and that, does some really horrible thing, slaps you across the face or something in public, and you're having a whinge on Twitter about it. This says a lot about the mentality of these feminists. Go to the police if that happens. Don't go to Twitter. That shouldn't be your first place. So it's plainly obvious that a lot of these women are actually just making it up in the first place. But 1 in 3 women are raped, which is what this site has said, and other sites. Let me give a little example of this. This gets really clever, right? You don't have to be an Einstein to actually work this crap out, alright? There are 30 million women or females in this country, alright? And out of them, if you're telling about 1 in 3 women are going to be raped, it means 10 million of them are going to be raped at some point in their life. 10 million. And who's doing all the raping, by the way? I'd just like to ask that. And raping? So what you're saying is 10 million women in the UK are raped, and they are held down against their will, and somebody injects the sexual organs in one of their holes, which is what rape actually is. Rape isn't, just slapping someone in the bottom or something. That is rape. When you actually put something in them. That's happening to 1 in 3 women out there. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up at all. I'm sorry. Anybody who believes that is believing in this propaganda BS. And I'm starting to think that this feminist cult really is about population control. If you can get men and women to squabble, they never reproduce together, they never start families, and if they do start families, it's going to be dysfunctional. Because the women will want full rights, which they do. Women want everything. They want the family. And once they, hate a man completely, they get rid of him and say, well, you're not ever going to see your children again, and you're cut out forever, etc., etc. So I don't see any rights for the men there. I see more rights for the women. But the women are up in arms and say, oh my God, we're not getting any rights there, and we're all being raped. 1 in 3 of us are being raped. But that would actually say that 1 in 3 men are rapists. So I can already see the craziness of all this. Let me give another example. This is where this gets really interesting. 1 in 4 women are at the hands, this is what they always say, hands, hands, this is a hand, fist, hand, of domestic violence. Really? 1 in 4 women at the hands of domestic violence? Just have a think about that for a second. That means if you know 4 women, you know 1 woman who is at the hands of somebody who's beating her up, raping her, and is at risk of killing her. That's what that says. 1 in 4 women. That's exactly what it says. But this is where it gets a bit sneaky. What these sites like Everydaysexism don't actually mention is that domestic violence is an interesting word that they use. Violence. It's also called domestic abuse in some circles. Is also including somebody who just pushes somebody out of the way, or just gets into an argument. Violence, and also if they just ignore the woman, which is terribly violent. So in retrospect, what it actually means is 1 in 4 women are at the hands of a violent man who is going to ignore the woman for a period of time in her life, at some point in her life. He doesn't have to hit her or anything, just ignore her, just for a short time. That's domestic abuse, allegedly. And this is how bad these feminists have got. They've got so hateful of men that it's starting to get a little bit ridiculous. In fact, it's hit a point now where I think something has to be done about it, because they're giving false facts to all the young girls out there, all the young women out there, false facts that all men are bastards, etc. We're all evil, we're going to rape you, we're going to beat the crap out of you, we're going to kill you, oh my god, we're the evilest thing on the planet. This is what these sites are saying. It's hitting a point where people have to do something about this. You can't just continue to listen to these figures, these garbage figures. And some of these women, they're squabbling like little children. They're running around like lunatics, just making up figures out of the top of their bloody head. 1 in 3 women are raped. That is the biggest propaganda stunt I've seen for quite some time. 1 in 4 men are wife beaters, rapists and murderers. This means that all men are up to no good. You couldn't make it up. And the other men who actually follow this blindly and agree with it, oh my god, it's awful, you're just as bad as those women who are actually giving those false statistics, because they aren't real statistics. Alright. Back in the past, there was a woman, listen to this, and she was running a support shelter for women who had been in domestic violence. True domestic violence, at least we think it was. She found out, listen to this, she found out that 63% of those women were as violent or more violent than the men who she was trying to protect them from, which actually says something, that probably those women were partially or fully responsible for the violence in the first place. Perhaps they just wound the man up so much that eventually just lost his cool and just gave her a slap. But once he did, as she said, the perpetrator became the victim, and the victim became the perpetrator, which is perfect for those feminists out there, because then they can say, you never go see the children again, I'm taking it away, I'm going to rip you for everything you've got, which is what feminists love to do, because feminists are men-hating creatures. Now, I don't want anybody to go out there now and join a male equivalent of a feminist cult, like some of these women. I don't want you to behave like imbeciles, like children, like idiots, because that is exactly what they want you to do. They want men and women to squabble like stupid little children and never get to the bottom never get to the bottom of what is the problem. Okay, equal pay, for instance. Yeah, a lot of women are getting equal pay now, so that's not a problem. And if we really are talking about equal rights, what about a man's rights? That's never discussed. And how dare we ever discuss, men's rights? How dare we discuss that, if a man is not allowed to see his children, he's a good father, etc., but it's just because he's not given that right, because he's always seen as the violent person, the evil person, thanks to the feminist cults out there. That's never mentioned. A man is always the bad guy. Always. They talk about psychos out there, it's always a man who's the problem. Always. Without doubt. And we got these, cults out there run by these crazy feminists who are going around creating all these lies about men. Basically lies. I don't mind them actually supporting certain things. If feminist cults did actually do things properly, let's put it this way, right? I'm getting a bit confused there because I can't believe the audacity of this fucking cult. Let me put it this way. They are doing more damage to women's rights than if they didn't exist. Alright? So if they didn't exist, there'll be less squabbling between men and women. And we may be able to solve the problems. But thanks to these feminist cults, you've got men and women at each other's throats all the time now. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point there'll be a male chauvinist cult opening up somewhere around your neighbourhood somewhere. Thanks to the feminists out there who are actually doing all the work trying to demonise men. I don't know. I mean, it's something that I suppose is a low say, and I also kind of think it's a little bit funny as well. But you got shills on there as well who are part of this feminist cult who are pretending to be men, etc., which is just fucking sad. It's a shame. And even the people in the alternative community are not picking up on this. This is kind of dangerous what's happening at the moment, because what this does is it breaks up the family. That's what it does, and it makes it so children become more dysfunctional. Women and men bicker more violence and culture. Women go, "You're a son, you're a bastard," etc. Things will break down if men and women start squabbling all the time. It's bad enough as it is now. I hate to see if these feminist cults actually get a true hold what it'll be like. And for those who don't actually think it's a problem, these feminist cults like Everydaysexism is actually in the media at the moment promoting these lies. Because full well that 1 in 4 men are not wife beaters, murderers and terrible people. 1 in 4 is like what, 25 out of 100. That's a big number. It might be something like 4%. I agree that 4% of the population are idiots, but it's not 25% of men, and it's certainly not 1 in 3 women who are being raped. I think that's grossly overinflated. I'm not even sure where they come up with those figures. I'll be interested to see where they come up with those figures, because the statistics have to come from somewhere. If it's 1 in 3 women, that means 10 million women out there, or 10 million girls out there, have been raped at some point in their life, and the police have been dealing with it, because that's where the statistics should be coming from. But why haven't I heard about this until I've seen it on Everydaysexism? Pretty straightforward, because it's the feminists who are moving up these crime statistics, but you never hear about it in the news, because it's just being made up now to make men look bad. I've heard of domestic violence, but not this sort of crap before, and it's getting really bad. It's getting to a point where they believe anything. In fact, on the Everydaysexism side, the cult, they are saying that every single woman has been at the hands of sexual harassment on the street, sexual violence, which is what they call it now. That is a lie too, because that would say that every single man's a cunt, which is what they're trying to do. They're trying to demonise as many men as possible, and I think there's more to this than meets the eye. I think there's more than just a crazy feminist behind the Everydaysexism site. There's a political movement that is there to try to break up the family. I remember one person in a video who was in contact with the Rockefellers, who first they donated a lot of money. They financed the women's liberty place in America, And they said the reason why they did that was to break up the family. They wanted the men out of the house so the children could go to school earlier and the women could go to work. Why? Because they couldn't tax half the population. And the second one is because once these children went to school, they could indoctrinate them earlier with any lies and statistics they wanted to. I'm not saying that school's completely bad, but there's certainly a lot of propaganda going on. And, you can see it. You can see it for what it is. I mean, it is shocking what's going on nowadays, and it doesn't seem like anything's being done about it. The media's making a big noise about everyday sexism, and the feminists are saying, oh, nothing's ever being done about it. Your voices are heard more than anyone else's in the world. Males' voices aren't heard at all, without a doubt. They're not even a whisper in the alternative community. And I really don't want men to go onto YouTube and start behaving like the feminists at all. I think that would be terrible, because it's not women who are the problem. It just isn't. It's not the women who are the problem, it's the feminists. And there's somebody behind those feminist cults who is using those women's hatred to turn men and women against each other, to break up the family. That's what that's about. It's a covert operation to just destroy the family life, to make society more dysfunctional, and you can see it happening. I'm not listen, some of you might come on this YouTube video and say, oh, you're really angry about this. No, I'm not. I see the funny side of it, but I see the tragic side of it. So you guys are being screwed, and you women are being screwed too. Those women in those cults, I feel sorry for you. You look like bog-eyed, brainwashed lunatics. It's a shame. I would really want you to get out those cults as soon as possible. Let's all start being friendly for once to each other. 1 in 3 men should not be raping women. Alright? So there's 10 million women in the UK raped at some point in their life, allegedly, and you men are doing it. So stop raping women. That's all I say. And the statistics don't make any sense when you think about it. Are you guys saying to me that let's say 3.5 billion women are on the planet, that something like 1.2 billion women are raped at some point in their life? That's a load of rubbish. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've rambled on a lot in this video. I'll be surprised if anybody actually lasts the last second. Anyway, thank you for watching. It's been a crazy video. It's been enjoyable probably to watch, but I'll be surprised if people say, oh, this is one of my favourite videos by the Scribe. Alright, thank you. See you later. Goodbye.